like we may have a pretty good idea of when Caitlin Clark is next going to play basketball, and it's not during the WNBA season. At least that's not the next thing that she's got her eye on. It's not Unrivaled, and it's not Athletes Unlimited, but it is sooner than the WNBA season.
So the rumors are true. Caitlin Clark is coming back to basketball much sooner than anyone expected. And no, this isn't some off-season promo tour or charity event. She's actually playing for Team USA. Experts are saying her return in March is almost certain. And if that's true, the entire basketball world is about to lose its mind. This news has everyone scrambling to figure out what's really happening. After months of silence, rehab, and endless speculation, we finally have a timeline. March 11th through 17th. That's when Team USA heads to San Juan, Puerto Rico for the World Cup qualifying tournament. And guess who's on the radar? Caitlin Clark. Here's the thing. These aren't just practice runs or promo appearances. These are real games with Team USA jerseys, official broadcasts, and international attention. If she's healthy enough to suit up for those games, it means she's not just back on the court. She's back under the brightest lights possible. Considering we haven't seen her play meaningful basketball since mid-July, this is a huge deal. Remember how the season started? A triple-double on opening day. The league treated her like a superhero, until suddenly injuries struck. First the ankle, then the groin, then that mysterious setback the Indiana Fever never fully explained. She barely managed to play 5 straight games all year. The media called it load management. Fans called it a cover-up. And honestly, the Fever did a terrible job communicating any of it. Every press conference...
She didn't look like her usual self. Though her counting stats, 16.5 points, 5 rebounds, 8.8 assists, were still impressive. She shot 36.7% from the field, including 27.9% from three-point range, and had 3 games without a 3, something that previously hadn't happened since her sophomore season at Iowa. Quote, I would never speak for Caitlin, but it's frustrating as an athlete to go through injury when you're not able to do what you love to do. White said certainly having setbacks, then working your way back, then having another setback, all of that is frustrating. While it's frustrating, it's important that we get her back to 100% and she's comfortable, she's confident, that she's healthy, and that she can move forward in a way that continues to build on her career and her franchise.
When head coach Stephanie White recently said, we're taking it week by week, 3-on-3, 2-on-2, then building to 5-on-5, that was a game changer. It was the first time anyone had openly admitted that Clark was even close to being game ready. The thing is, they weren't using those vague reevaluation period phrases anymore. They were actually using real basketball terms again, and that's a really good sign. Next voice okay? Now for the juicy part. Because multiple sources around Team USA, including former players and coaches who are actually in the know, are saying that Clark is expected to be fully cleared by late February. She's projected to be ready for Team USA activities in March. That's right, before the WNBA even tips off its first preseason.
She said during her exit interview, her main focus during the winter is, quote, really just getting my body healthy. Caitlin Clark does want to suit up for Team USA in the spring, however. Though the Americans have already qualified for the 2026 FIBA Women's World Cup, they will still participate in a qualifying tournament in San Juan, Puerto Rico from March 11th.
And that changes absolutely everything. Why? Because Caitlin Clark in a Team USA jersey, that's a ratings machine. Plain and simple. Forget whatever you think about the WNBA's usual numbers. This would shatter every record they've ever had. NBC, ESPN, Fox Sports, somebody's going to throw money at those broadcast rights faster than a Vegas bookmaker on Super Bowl Sunday. And can you blame them? This is the biggest name in women's basketball returning to action after an injury saga that felt like a full-blown soap opera. Everyone wants to see if she still has it. Now Stephanie White tried to play it cool. In her interview, she said they're building her foundation, taking it slow, and making sure there's no regression. Which basically means, please don't ask for timelines. We don't want to get roasted again if something goes wrong. But here's the thing. Even through all that careful language, you can hear the truth slipping out. Clark is moving, running, cutting, and preparing for full speed 5-on.
For the team, those games will be the first time she sees real action since July 15th. In order to make sure she's ready by then, the Fever will not skip any steps over the next few weeks and months.
The funny thing is, Caitlin herself had already said in her exit interview that her main focus this offseason was getting her body healthy. And to her credit, she wasn't lying. No overseas leagues, no athletes unlimited, no off-season cash grabs, just recovery and Team USA goals. And here's why that's so important. Team USA has already qualified for the World Cup. These games are mostly about rhythm, chemistry, and keeping the roster sharp. But for Clark, it's about one thing: proving to everyone that she's still the face of American basketball. Now, I know some of you are probably rolling your eyes saying, she hasn't even played a full season yet. Yeah, true. But let's be real. Caitlin Clark's influence isn't measured by seasons played. It's measured by impact. She brought millions of new fans to the WNBA in just a few months. You can hate that fact if you want, but it doesn't change reality. Her return in March is basically free advertising for the WNBA. Team USA gets a massive ratings boost, and when she steps back onto the court in May for the Fever, the league will ride that momentum like a rocket. Now, let's talk about the injury part for a second, because that's where the sarcasm comes in. Apparently, this was just a groin strain and a high ankle sprain. Yet somehow, we're in month 4 of slow build-ups. I don't know what kind of ankle this was. Maybe one held together with duct tape. But this rehab timeline makes no sense. Even NFL players come back faster from torn ligaments. So either the Fever's medical staff is being extremely overprotective, or they're hiding something bigger. And let's be honest, this team hasn't exactly been a model of transparency. Remember that weird moment when reports came out about her chemistry issues with Kelsey Mitchell? The team denied it. But where there's smoke, there's usually someone in the media quietly deleting emails. Still, the key detail here is that Clark has been training at 90 to 100% intensity. And that's not just conditioning, that's game simulation. When Stephanie White starts talking about decision-making and live action, that means they're testing her reaction speed and court balance. Those are things you only do when a player is truly ready to return. So yeah, barring any new setbacks, March looks very real. Now here's where it gets even better. If Caitlin Clark really suits up for Team USA in March, guess what that means for the Olympics? She's basically a lock for Paris. The media knows it, the sponsors know it, and honestly, the network executives are probably throwing parties as we speak. Her Olympic debut would be the biggest moment for women's basketball since that legendary 1996 team with Lisa Leslie. This is a ratings goldmine waiting to happen. Now, for everyone complaining that she gets too much media attention, I get it. But too bad. That's what happens when you move the needle. She's the headline every network wants because she draws crowds and sells merch in a league that's been struggling to do either for over a decade. And now that these reports are rolling in, the reaction from fans has been hilarious. Half of basketball Twitter is losing its mind with excitement, and the other half is pretending not to care, which of course means they totally do. One fan wrote, "March can't come soon enough. I'd watch her shoot free throws for 2 hours." Another said, "If the Fever can't protect her, at least Team USA can." Ouch. That one probably hurt the Indiana front office more than her injury ever did. Then came the experts. Suddenly, every talking head on TV turned into a rehab specialist overnight. You'd think Caitlin was being evaluated by ESPN's medical team. Everyone had a theory, how serious her groin injury really was, how fast she should be running, and whether playing for Team USA too soon might risk her next season. But here's the truth. Nobody actually knows. The Fever barely told us anything for months. So now everyone's just guessing. And honestly, if Clark feels good and her doctors clear her, let her play. This isn't some pickup game at the YMCA. This is Team USA basketball. If she's back for real. But let's talk about what this means for the WNBA. Because this isn't just about one player returning. It's about relevance. When Caitlin Clark went down, the WNBA's TV numbers quietly went down with her. All those record-breaking ratings from her first few games? Gone. Social media engagement dropped, jersey sales cooled off, and post-game press conferences went from electric to half-empty. You could practically hear the league offices praying for March. That's why this Team USA comeback is a lifeline. She'll be back 2 months before the WNBA season starts, which means she'll rebuild hype at the perfect time. Clips of her no-look passes and deep threes will flood social media. And guess what? Everyone will forget about the Fever's losing streak. It's basically a free restart button. Even better, this gives the league's marketing team another reason to flood every channel with her face again. America's star returns. Team USA's next leader. You know it's coming. But the real question fans are asking is simple. Will she actually look like herself again? Before the injuries, Clark was fearless. She'd pull up from the logo, throw half-court assists, and talk trash to players twice her size. After the injuries, she looked cautious, still smart, still talented, but just a little hesitant. That killer spark was missing, and that's why this comeback in March matters more than people realize. It's not just about testing her ankle, it's about testing her confidence. Because confidence, not health, is what separates the greats from everyone else. Stephanie White even said it herself. We want her comfortable, confident, and healthy. Notice the order. Comfort and confidence come before health. They know if she walks into March second-guessing her body, she won't play like herself. Now let's talk about the other players for a second, because you can already feel the tension. There are veterans who've spent years fighting to make Team USA rosters, and now Caitlin Clark walks in after rehabbing half a season and steals all the attention. That's not going to sit well with everyone. Don't be surprised when anonymous locker room quotes start leaking. Unnamed player questions whether Clark deserves a roster spot. Happens every time. But here's the truth. Team USA is built for two things: medals and ratings. Clark helps with both. You think sponsors care about seniority? They care about eyeballs. And right now, no one brings more eyeballs than Caitlin Clark. And talk about timing. March 11th through 17th is perfect. It gives her about 7 weeks before the WNBA season starts in May. So even if she only plays limited minutes with Team USA, she'll still have live reps under her belt. Something she desperately needs after that slow, frustrating rookie year. Yeah, I said it. Rookie year. You can call it developmental or introductory, whatever helps you sleep. But everyone knows it wasn't what fans expected. She showed flashes of brilliance, but the Fever looked lost half the time. Now she gets a chance to reset, and on the biggest stage possible. And you better believe that if she drops 20 points in her first Team USA game, every sports network will treat it like the second coming. The WNBA will act like it was all part of the plan. And to top it off, it's happening in Puerto Rico. Which means fans everywhere will get to see her play internationally for the first time. Expect a full-on media circus. Cameras at the airport, drone shots of her walking into the arena. Interviews about representing America, the whole show. Now, let's be honest. Some fans will say she's coming back too soon. They'll call it risky, but those are usually the same people who complain she's too protected. You can't have it both ways. Either she's an athlete who competes, or she's a brand that sits out. She's choosing to compete. Respect that. And if she pulls it off, if she comes back strong, healthy, and firing on all cylinders, she'll silence every critic who ever said she was overhyped. Because let's face it, for all the drama, injuries, and noise, Caitlin Clark moves the needle. You can't scroll 2 minutes without seeing her name. The league knows it. The fans know it. And now Team USA knows it. So whether you love her or can't stand her, March is about to remind everyone why she's the headline every time she touches a basketball. So circle the dates. March 11th through 17th. Caitlin Clark could finally be back in action for Team USA, and the sports world is already buzzing. Whether she dominates or just tests the waters, one thing's certain: all eyes will be on her.